There's a planning about what they do. There's not the doing of the planning. They think they're planning. Right. Things could go, and you know, what happens when there's always an exception to the rule, and there's always an exception to the rule? Your whole fucking thesis is blown out of the water.
And who did the planning? Who planned the planning? Did you plan to do the planning?
That's right. What initiated the idea? It just ding. What initiated? Do you see it coming? No. You're at the end point of a process of dreaming, yeah? Dreaming dreamt, yeah? And then the dreamt just has a narration of trying to explain all the dreaming. Of course, to try to make sense for it. You're attempting to make that which is insane feel safe here, yeah? You know, just let it fucking be surprised all day. This is the whole point. This is the whole point, Joyce, really. Why not just get rebooted? Yeah. So let's just entertain the idea that the movement of the mental state right now is to claim what it comes in contact with. Now, it's not producing the contact consciousnesses, yes? There is an awareness that is aware of things happening. And then after that is produced, the mental state feels like it's gotten in contact. So it claims what it comes in contact with. If it's a thought, a feeling, an action, yes. If it's the idea of time, and then suddenly it uses all these things in a way sort of like a mirror, yeah, to see itself, really. Because it can't see itself, it's not there. It can't look and see itself. It's manufactured, yeah? So it gets a reflection by the claiming. So the thinking, the idea of being the thinker is arrived by the claiming of the thinking. There is no thinker and then thinking. There's thinking that implies a thinker. All right? Just get this, just see it, you know? So that you don't think it's this way. Thinking, the claiming of thoughts implies the thinker of them. Yes? There is not one thought that comes after. See, the thinker is a thought, basically. Yeah? So there's a claiming of the thoughts to imply another thought, which is I'm the thinker. Yeah? Same thing, feelings. Feelings are happening, you know? You get stuck with a pin or something like that. There's sensations are happening all the time. Most are under the surface probably. A number of it is above the surface. And so again, the mental state gets introduced in all this and says, hey, yeah, that feeling implies me. Yeah? I'm the generator or the haver of that feeling. I'm the one, either I'm causing it or some other one is causing it in me, but somehow I'm intrinsically linked to the feeling. Something that just comes and goes all day, yeah, is implying there's someone that's there when it comes and is there when it goes. Yeah, it uses time after the claiming to give length to itself. So it can say, oh, I was there before, I'm the feeler. So I was there before the feeling happened. The feeling came up, I felt it, and then it left, and so, but I was always there. I was there before the feeling arose, because I'm the feeler. So whatever feeling arises, I've been there to sort, whatever ball's thrown, I'm the mitt that catches it, yeah? And then when there's not a ball thrown, the mitt's there anyway. It's just waiting for the next feeling, this and that, yes? So there's an implying, it's just a magic trick. You know, it's the only way this would be happening is belief in the assumptions. It's sort of like the fractal images that appear like a tree, yeah, it has to be agreed upon in a sense. There's got to be an agreement in it. So there's feeling, thoughts, actions. Yes? And all of them, of course, cast in time. Those are claimed. You weren't claiming them when seemingly you were here as a 2-year-old. So the claiming came later. You were not claiming feelings as your feelings when you were 1 or 2. You fucking weren't. There was no sense of self that had formulated yet. The my hadn't occurred yet. All this is a process. We even have an example of its absence in what we call our own life. When you were a baby, you didn't know you were Joyce, or you were gonna be Joyce later, or you were Joyce before. You were just fucking on, and just... Now everyone around you seemingly, Joyce, 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 fucking pounding it in, so that Joyce would just start assuming, oh, I am Joyce, yeah? And that's mine, and then all this, yes, you can see. I mean, it's not like you gotta go through 800 years of spiritual archaeology. Just look at yourself, this long-lasting, independent, separate unit, as when it was a young, long-lasting, independent, separate unit. It had no sense of self. So how did it occur? Did it get struck with it? No. The brain developed to a point where it could start doing its maneuvers, which is, I'm going to take everything that's happening and organize it under this one principle that it's me. It has something to do with me. Either I'm fucking doing it or it's being done to. I'm being done to. Yes, just a vague idea. Don't even believe that. It's just a way of explaining it. But I do know its movement is claiming. The mental state's primary movement is claiming, because it doesn't have a life. It has to claim the activities that we call living to imply the one who's living. It cannot get there, yeah? Which the I am is there. The I am doesn't arrive at I am. It wasn't I was, I will be, therefore I am. No, the mental state does that. The mental state, every memory you freaking have is you as a body or as others as bodies, yes? Every worry that you have in the future is you as a body. Every worry that your head is entertaining about the future is as you as a body. And if it's you as a spirit, it's framed as a body. When you're thinking I'm spirit, you think in the context of body. That's the system. The system is called self-centeredness. You're not thinking. The thought system pictures you as a body. So when you thought about it as, oh, I'm the spirit, your still framed. This idea of spirit is still framed by the system. Yeah? The system doesn't leave the system. You're not thinking yourself into fucking spirit, and you're not thinking yourself out of spirit. You just believe that's true. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. All right, so claiming. Now the claiming that is used to arrive at the idea of the one is very, very fast. It does its production in like maybe, I don't know, less than 2 seconds, less than a half a second, I don't know. But I do know that as soon as you get ready to undo it, you're doing it. That I know. You cannot outdraw it because it will be claiming to be the drawer of it. Yeah? It's just, you're not gonna fucking, you're not. I've seen it. It's very, very fast to a point where you don't even know it's being established now. You just assume that's the starting point. You do. Yeah, it's so easy. Everyone seems to sort of start there. Yeah, everyone talks about stuff, and then maybe they have a sense of self-reflection, and then they talk about, oh, I've been thinking about me, but they don't realize there's still the me has moved to the next point of being the observer, of recognizing, oh, I'm not that, but I'm not that, but I'm also not that. Yes, it doesn't go there. Yeah, so a lot of people are in the second ring, so they're first on the consequential level. What the fuck's going on? And suddenly some self-awareness comes in. They start seeing, oh, I can't fucking drink. If I do, I'm fucked. And this and that, wow, yeah. But still, the selfing, the claiming of being the one who has arrived at that realization is still in place. It is so fast, and there's no topic that it's immune from. It can go anywhere. Whatever it comes in contact with, it will claim. Spirituality, freaking living in ashrams, living in, it just doesn't, nothing. It's so quick that I humbly believe there's no process in time that's going to get before that process. Just don't think so. So I just don't see how you're going to do yourself out of the doer or think yourself out of the thinker. Just don't. Or meditate yourself out of the meditator. Just don't see it possibly. So when this became clear to me, it's clear to me, and it's always right now, it's clear to me. It's always the constant present state of being convinced is right now. Yeah, I don't care if I was clear last year or next year. It doesn't matter. It's now. And what's happened is it's dumbed me down quite a lot because I have no interest in going off on mental mind candy escapades, because the fact is the ordinariness is the beautiful, always available at all times. Yeah. That to me is it. Yeah. So I've lost interest in shit I was quite interested in going off and this and that. And it doesn't make any sense to me anymore, because if you don't see this, you're going to be looking from its effects. And I'm saying, I'm saying most of us start right there. We are already the completed product of the selfing. So when you get introduced to the idea of selfing, there's a feeling that you're doing it or that it's doing you. And that's the bondage of self. That's it. There's still a claiming. Now the selfing gets claimed, and then you get, instead of seeing the selfing implies a self, you take this, you to be the self that's doing the selfing. I see the example every time. It's many, many satsangs. It's a pure, perfect illustration. That would be a book you could just have. The selfing, the yapping going on, yes? The memories, the interpreting of perceptions, the thoughts, yes? The selfing implies a someone. Usually when people get introduced to the idea of selfing, they think they're the one that's hearing about it. Yes, you see it? It's that fast. You hear about what you're not as what you're not, which doesn't go anywhere. What you're not loves non-duality as a philosophy. It does. I mean, it can excuse itself from a lot of shit. But so seeing that the claiming may be right in place right now, and so maybe instead of trying to work on that, which you can work on, but to a certain point, there's certain source codes that aren't going to be fidgeted with by the system itself. It's just not going to happen. So you have to see the pitfalls of just being introduced to a simple idea of not to. There's a number of pitfalls that are commonplace. There's the sense of being the one who heard the message. Yeah. So now you think you got the message, which means sets you up for the experience of losing it. You know what I mean? Or the awakeness is something that has to happen, but in fact, as an experience, but as a non-experience, it's always happening. Now, there may be an experience where it seems to like a thunderbolt happen, but in fact, in the experiential level, it's always happening at all times, right where you are. What do you want? Do you want to play with the idea, that thing was so powerful, the head's going to love the fucking claimant. I mean, it is juicy beyond compare. You go right to the head of the class in the spiritual school. But again, there can be a little bonding of that, and so suddenly you may get to be the most exquisite butt of the most exquisite spiritual joke, which is you lose the awakening. Oh, and usually there's got to be a story to say why you lost it, which you started basically. You fucked up. I didn't. didn't do something, it was taken away. Again, it's all about you, always. Or even the non-you is all about you. That's the craziness of it, really. So, all right, so there's the claiming, and then you watch. That's why we share here. There's this lady that's helping me write, not helping me, she wrote the stuff. She sent me a thing on by Nisargadatta, and as Nisargadatta's talking about it once, he says, you know, I'm not talking to your head, I'm talking to consciousness. So basically, yeah, we're throwing the message, not to you. I don't care about Joyce getting it, yeah. I want, if what you are hears it, it's going to look at what the activity that's constantly implying what you're not, and it's going to have a little healthy suspicion around it. And it's going to go, hey, maybe this thing has run its race, you know, or at least let's slow down this, like this, another wheel in the karmic thing, maybe, you know. And what happens is there's a loss of interest, not in the dreaming, but in the dreamt, yes? Yeah. There's not a loss of interest in what you are, there's a loss in interest in what you're not, basically. Yeah, it's like when some people were talking today at this meeting. In recovery, they talk about a spiritual malady, which I don't believe there's any spiritual malady. How could the spirit have a malady? What does it have, like, you know, hemorrhoids, type of, there's no body to have anything, yes? So there's no spiritual malady, there's a mental malady. And what is the mental malady? Is an overabundance of attention and interest, really. And the pitfalls is when you realize that and you get interested in moving that interest, that's more interest in the system. Yeah, you can't, it doesn't work. You can't, self can't get out of self. So your noble endeavor gets convoluted because the system knows how to bend any of your little spiritual arrows. It knows how to bend it back to you again, always back to you. Yes? You see it? So you can't say, all right, I'm going to go on a course of losing interest in self. That would be interest in self. Yes, it's just the same thing. Got it. Quit playing God. That which is playing God here is quit playing God. If it tries to quit playing God, that's playing God. It goes on forever. It can't. There's not one moment where that which is playing God can quit playing God, because that would be the playing of God. Yes? So you see, these things are meant to hit you to a point where there's a disarming, not a freaking call to arms, but a disarming. Because there are a lot of engines running in you. Some are idling, some are like, just ready to go. But we're in like almost like a time wave of momentum of seeking, yes? And the seeking, if it's about something really, really important or deemed to be important, that seeking has an incredible ability to reflect the seeker quite largely, yes? It will. Now the seeking is going to continue, but if there was a choice to write, first I'd have all the fun when I was young, but if there was a choice to write the script, I would get into a very mundane, simple life that you couldn't make much out of all the claiming. You know, the head just couldn't cook up a big story like going to the thrift store or getting a cup of coffee. There's not much, you know, fuck, anyone can do that shit. It's not a big deal. But there's a nice thing about it, its gargantuan look is diminished. It's got a very small playing field, you know, like a little life in it. And after a while, it just, you know, the interest can't provoke the interest to come into its little storyline. Now, when I was into spirituality, it was extremely fucking important. I mean, fuck. I mean, I'd have a girlfriend wanting to have lovely sex with me. I can't now, I'm practicing. It was like insane. The situation right there was, hey, opened up, no. I'm moving towards my goal. Yeah, but I was going to be there. The goal isn't for you to arrive. It's the realization you are arrived. Yes. On having never left is the key. Not on finally arriving. No, on having never left. Yes. Because you can't have hierarchies about on having never left. All right, who's been here longest and on having never left? Well, everyone. Who got here first? Everyone. Who's left on having never left? What is this? You know what I mean? All those little things can't catch. They don't gain traction. So the interest, to me, the spiritual malady is just, it's really an inordinate amount of interest and attention to the mental fabrications, yes? Of time, of this, of body, yes? And therefore, it's sort of like, is it the sun's fault you stay inside all day? No, the sun's there. You know, it's not withholding its sunness from you. If you would go out, you'd get hit with the sun. You know, there'd be sun. Yeah. So the sun isn't having a malady. It's we're up the fucking ass of the self. We're like living in a mental structure. Totally mental. Yeah, totally. And so there's spirit, always available at all times, but in this little dream, and this is the beauty of it, it's only in the dreaming that you cannot pay attention to spirit. It's only here that impossibilities seem possible. It's only in dreaming and with the idea of time. Hey, how are you? It's only in these. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. Caught me in mid-exhilarating moment. Have you heard anything about us?
Yes.
Zen Bitch Slap? Oh, YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh, YouTube. All right, good. All right, so.
Sorry, I'm late. I got lost.
Oh yeah, it's bad. There's having a big thing at the temple across the way, so there's no parking.
Okay.
So don't worry. All right, but we're gonna stop here and we'll start with you a little bit. All right?
Okay.
There is no you, but that's okay. But we'll just go to the basics because it doesn't matter really. What we were just talking about now is the first movement of the head, yes? We're in a dreaming, we're dreaming, yes? It's beautiful. The Course of Miracles, to me, does a beautiful job with that because a lot of people say I'm in a dream, but actually the Course brings you to the point that you are actually the dreaming, yeah? You see, the objective identification, from there you see yourself as in a dream. Yeah, because again, the body reigns supreme. You can't think outside of that. So I'm not dreaming. I was dreaming at night, last night, but I'm not dreaming. Yes, you see, the body framing is unbelievable. Yeah. So, but the Course would attempt to go over the dream's head and say, talk to the dreaming, which is appearing as the dreamt. Hey, you and I as the dreaming are the dreaming of the dreaming, not you and I as the dreamt. Yeah, you and I as what we are. Yeah, you and I are the dreaming. Yes, it's incredibly different. Yeah. What happens if you get a sense of you're the dreaming? Well, Jesus Christ, find out. See how many knots are connected to that one knot. Yeah. The idea of the dreamt being real spins out a lot of other ideas and assumptions. If you can get to, like we used to share, all right, here's the first knot. So the first knot is the identification as a body, let's say. And then there's all these other knots. Separation, I may not get what I want, I can have suffering and pain, tons of knots based on the first knot. So let's say you go to a seminar and try to get relief with relationships, all right? So you work really hard for a year, read all the books, and your relationships loosen up, but then something happens, they tie up again. But if you would go to the first knot, and if you got relief there, that relief would trigger all the other knots, yes? Because a thread of this identification is in all the other assumptions, yes? All of them. So you would know the problem by relief. When you get relief, you know you're on to something. So the relief from the bondage of self is a recognition you're not that which can be bound, yes? You are not the identification as a body. It doesn't say what you are. You'll find out about that. But this whole direction is to see what you're not, yeah? And it's not like this stuff, it's not a denial like people do when they don't want to feel something or they're trying to avoid something, they deny it. They don't, but the mental state does. Negation is not denial. Denial doesn't work. Negation is seeing something. Not from the dreamt, but from the dreaming. Yes, or from what we are. There, it's very, very sudden, but its lastability is profound, the information. Yeah, it triggers like 100 monkey syndrome, and it's not easy to get undone. Yes, you've seen, there was a seeing of something, and it's like, that's that. Yes? All right. So, the claiming is what the mental state is about. So the mental state, I like to say it has, I don't do any studying, but let's say there's memories, there's interpretation of perceptions, and then there's a thought system, yeah? So the thought system and the memories and the perceptions obviously are body related, yes? You think of yourself as a body, you're remembered as a body, and you're perceived as bodies, yes? So the mental state is constantly in the act of being identified as a body. When it dwells in the past, it's being identified as a body in the past. When it's worrying about you in the future, it's worrying about you as a body in the future. Yeah, it's not you worrying, it's the mental state's worrying. None of these activities are yours, yeah? None of these activities are yours. There's not an ownership here. There's a seeing of it, yeah? So see it. The claiming is a basic 101 understanding. Watch it, yeah? And how can you recognize the claiming? Well, look at the word my in your day, yeah? See how much my is just assumed, yeah? You think it's your time, you think it's this, your little space, that's my jacket, give me my fucking dessert, whatever. There's a lot of mine going on. Yes? That my is representing the claiming of what's going on. So the weird thing is, as the Course in Miracles says, beautiful diagnostic. It says, you and I are the dreaming of the dreaming. I don't like the word dream. They use dream. But dreams is a thing, eh? Dream. I don't believe there's a thing. I believe there's just verbing. So you and I are the dreaming of the dreaming. We're in the state of forgetting, not we. Yeah? There's a state of forgetting that, and to me, the forgetting of that, you're here. If the forgetting of that is sufficiently there, you're here, as if you just parachuted in, and then as soon as you parachute in, it has a story you've been here for 50 years, and yes, it just downloads. You get a huge download historically now. All day. It just downloads all day. Yeah, yeah. So as soon as there's the act of being identified as the dreamt, that's your new starting point. So now you're starting from here, which we would like to say from what you're not. Really. So, and it can go to such an absurd length that we enter a realm called spirituality, and a lot of people, knowing it or not knowing it, are in the act of being identified as self, looking for something, yes? But the funny thing is, just like if you're in the act of being identified as self and you're looking for a coffee, you can get it. You're looking for a date, you may get it. You're looking for some money, you may be able to get it. You're looking for a sandwich, you can get it. That obviousness of, oh yeah, I can get basically anything, but can't be applied to what you are. If you are that, which is trying to get you are that, it won't work, yes? See, this is the dilemma. So the point is, I can't use the Buddha to seek the Buddha. I can't use mind to seek mind. And the assumption in these statements are, your mind, your Buddha, your light. The master would have been saying, hey, Paul, don't use the Buddha. You know, or Paul, don't use mind. Or Paul, don't you light. You're doing it all day. But he's talking to the Buddha finally, and he's trying to say the Buddha. I know Buddha, aka Paul, but hopefully this gets through the Buddha. Hey, Buddha, you can't use yourself to find yourself. It doesn't go 800 pages. It's just a simple little, you can't use yourself to find yourself. What happens if that lands, so to speak? I don't know, find out, you know. Hopefully it will bring about a lightness to the action figure, which it can't conjure up with all of its interest and managing and trying to promote itself. It just doesn't win here. But maybe a loss of interest in all of its machinations would bring a lightness to it that it can't seem to find as a product here. But maybe it could be an expression of lightness here. Yes. I humbly believe we are more of an expression than a finder and a loser and a getter and a haver and adding on and becoming and on becoming and becoming. I feel more that we're an expression. So let's say the Buddha hears that, hey, I can't use yourself to find yourself. Suddenly the Buddha expresses a little more of Buddha into the dreaming, into Paul, and then Paul gets the benefit of expressing the lightness. Now Paul knows, in a very moronic way, there's an understanding now of, oh, and then the brain is going to be claiming to be the one who's traveling lighter, who must have done something to deserve this, or being one of the chosen ones, you know. But now there's a clear understanding that I'm not that, yes? So then the lightness can seem to get more lightness. It doesn't get interrupted and again become a full-length mirror to see what you're not all day, you know? I'm the one who's light. I'm light. No, you just you lose all interest in that. You're just trucking around, doing whatever's happening. And it's so easily forgotten because it's not here. Just goes off like mist, you know. It's like we don't see. It's our interest and attention that's keeping the mist sort of formulated. Yeah. It could all get a little dispersed and a little foggy, and then in that, not seeing this so much, you would see. Yeah, you would see. So claiming. Yeah. All right. So the mental, I call it selfing. That's what I call it. All right, so now, let's say you came in here and you listened to some talks, and now you think, oh, I think I know what selfing is. And then you'll probably, your head will arrive at, man, I'm doing a lot of selfing. Or the selfings drive me crazy. See, that's the demonstration of the selfing, the feeling of being the one who's doing it or being done to by it. Yes? You see? The selfing implies a self. I can see that it's worked in time when I'm talking to someone because then the self explains to me how much selfing has been doing. I mean, it's so beautiful. Because somehow, I don't know how it happens, the selfing, which is happening, is sort of used to imply it's happening to someone, but then the someone immediately owns the activity. I've been fucking selfing. I gotta call up. I'm gonna tell on myself. I've been selfing. No, you fucking haven't been selfing. The selfing has implied a self, and it's obviously seemed to have worked because now you're talking from the fucking self about the selfing. So you try to point these little pitfalls out because it's like if you were in like a Vietnam or something, which I wasn't, and someone had navigated through the minefield, if you followed them, you wouldn't step on the mines, yeah? So there's lots of readings from great masters who would try to cryptically or directly inform the Buddha, inform what we are to some of these pitfalls, so that when they happen, there's not a complete recognition that it's happening to me. You know, there is a suspension of belief in the little magic trick. So you're sitting there, and then you start seeing a lot of what has always been implying you as what you're not. You see it. You see the activities. Yeah, and you don't see any difference in the activities here than there. It's the same system, it's like a stock model. All it has is each person, it's not a person, but let's say each stock model has a unique like voice, like a different GPS, like English woman speaking or whatever. Yeah, but it's the same GPS. It's a failed system. Yeah. All right, so now you've seen some of the pitfalls. So now you realize, Jesus, what the head is constantly doing is it's looking for what it is from what it's not. And suddenly you're seeing what you're not looking for what it is from itself. So it's you, see? But what I'm not is actually what I am. So I see the exact breakdown of the story of what's looking is what you're looking for. Yeah? Instead of emphasizing the you and looking for what's looking, you see the you looking for what's looking from the what's looking. Yeah? As St. Francis attempted to switcheroo us. So suddenly, at the moment, you're in the idea that I'm looking for what's looking, and then suddenly someone whacks you, and you realize, what? That's what's looking! Yeah? And so what happens? All your plans and all your journeys and noble endeavors, they shrink up. And the interest and attention, I don't know, maybe will enrich your day.
Whose day?
Yes, the day. Yes, whose day, exactly. Keep that up and things will go well. So, yes, a lightness will come about. And exactly, whose lightness? It's not anyone's lightness. And you know what? That urge to try to, why? It just dissipates completely. You don't care. This isn't about getting a PhD. It's about losing complete interest in a lot of stuff that there was a lot of interest in, yes? And that interest being dispersed in other ways. And you're the better for it. What you're not is the better for it. And all the while, what you're not is inevitably what you are. And it's what you are dreaming. And it's going to dream itself out of the dreaming as what it's not. And the dream will get happier for what it's not. And then, doesn't mean eternal, it's going to end. And when it's supposedly, the Course would say, as it's getting happier, you better get ready because it's ending soon. So, yeah. And then we do the talks and everything just to support the idea. Because I believe in invitation, and I definitely believe you can talk about nothing forever. Really. You can talk about nothing forever. And an invitation can constantly be repeated. Yes. And then there's that switch, You see what you're not, looking for what you are from what you are, instead of the other way. Now the horse is in front of the cart, things make sense. And it verifies itself. Like for me, it was like an unspoken yes. And over time here, I would call it the last answer. So in a place of time, the last answer is a great answer. Because there's no need for any other answer. Yes? That's a damn good answer. So I've lost all interest in this topic. I do. Mental illness, I have mental illness, exactly. Mental interest, I have none in this topic at all. I have a seat assignment and I'm always, the only, being what we are, the best we can do is get an intimation of it here. Yeah, so by seeing what you're not is an intimation of what you are, because you're the seeing of what you're not, really.
Intimation.
Intimation means you get a sense of, you get a sense, like almost like you feel a presence. Something's intimated. It can't be spelled out, but it's intimated. Yeah, so it's sort of like by seeing what you're not, you get almost like a glimpse of what you are, because you're in the activity of being what you are, which is the seeing. So, and the activity of the seeing here is seeing what it's not. Yes, yeah, because it's not a thing. As Huang Po, a great master, said, whatever can be perceived can't be perceiving. So basically, everything that you can see with these eyes, you're seeing what you're not. Yeah. So you get, it's the whole idea of negation. So you negate, and when the negation is not a denial, but a clear, then there's an affirmation of what you are by seeing what you're not. Yeah? It's a big whoop. Not by, I realize what I am. No. It's awakening to what you're not, because you are already awake. Yes. So you wake up from what you're not. This dreaming of what you're not continues, but I'll tell you that it doesn't have. It's more like invisible ink now instead of fucking, the blood of your first child. What's happening, It's much easier. Much easier to go with. So yeah, all right. Nice to see you. Come back if you like. And then we have a nice thing on Saturday, which is a bigger one out in Marin. We go to coffee and eat and everything. We'll have a nice fellowship. But yeah, we'll be here for the next till April. I may be gone in March. No, I'll be here pretty much April. I'll be gone. So. But yeah, it's nice to meet you. What's your name?
Sana.
Zana?
Mm-hmm.
Nice to meet you, Zana. What caused you to find? How did you find us on the website?
Oh, yeah. On YouTube, and then I saw your Zen Bitch Slap thing. But before that, I listened to a lot of stuff from YouTube.
Yeah.
It first started like with Eckhart Tolle, and then
Yeah.
I just started going crazy on it.
Yeah.
And then I like Tony Parson, and I don't know if you know.
Yeah, I know.
But I didn't really register. And then I heard you just recently, and I thought, it was another way that I kind of felt more. I like the part you said about denying, because I'm so good at that. And so turning it around is not denying, like seeing for what it is, and then realizing you're not it. Kind of did something for me there.
Good, yeah. Well, negation is the way.
Negation.
In this, and this came about because I went to satsangs, before 2000 or something. And this wasn't emphasized in my view. Because I remember I was in LA and someone asked me, well, you went to satsangs and that's what motivated you to talk. But it wasn't about what I heard, it was about what I wasn't hearing. That's what motivated me to share. Because how it was explained in me from whatever was this act of claiming is so fast in time. Like if you hear that you're not a body, you're hearing it as a body. It doesn't go anywhere to me. There's something, it's so quick that if you go the direction of trying to describe what we are as consciousness, what you're not's going to override it by being the hero. And I didn't see that was where the ones I was going to didn't seem to be emphasizing that. Then I read some stuff from Ramana, and I noticed he had saying similar thing in all his, he didn't, but people who wrote stuff about his teachings, it was in every one of them. And it would be prefaced as the problem or the greatest mystery. And I'm going, that's exactly how I feel. What's the point of hearing about what I am as what I'm not? I want to hear about what I'm not as what I am. I want to hear about what I'm not. And that's the negate, that's the mode of negation. So I haven't heard of anyone since for a long time, but maybe they're all on the bandwagon now. You know, I see a fundamental flaw of delivering a message to the mental state. And so the mental state will just assume I'm the ones hearing it, and it will neuter the message completely, immediately. Yeah. So then from that time, it's never changed. I haven't gotten any other new downloads to change anything. It's just been more and more like, it's like teasing out a thread. You just keep teasing it, because there's nothing there really. So you just unbraid it and tease it, and you get to nothing, really. Yeah, and then you see all the obscuring in this place is activity. It's just mental activity. Yeah, it's like that which you are believing it's something else. That's all. The only thing that could fool reality is reality. Nothing else could. There's no illusion that could fool reality. Reality would see through everything. But reality is in cahoots with it. We are what we're looking for. Yeah. So hey, let's end and pass the basket and go eat. I'm starving. I haven't eaten today.
I've had those french fries for a long time.
Let's